Everybody, my name is Mundane Matt, and so this is gonna kind of be the first video of movie coverage. Fucking 3 Buck Theater coming over to the main channel. I know, it's exciting, it's new, it's crazy. I'm also still in Portland right now, and so this is the best thing about what I do is I can bring you content wherever I am. That's amazing, and I love it. Even if it's a little bit weird and you can see the notifications on my screen. Doesn't matter. Let's talk about fucking Marvel, what their future is for Avengers going forward. It's pretty exciting stuff here. And so it says on Slash Film, post-Infinity War MCU will be very, very different. And a look at future Marvel movies, which we won't get into that because we really don't need to. It says here that with the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 press junket happening this week in Los Angeles, Marvel Studios head Kevin Feige has been participating in numerous interviews talking about the future of the company's films. And of course, the Slash Film has collected a few quotes below, talking about how the cinematic universe will be very, very different after Avengers Infinity War, and then going on to talk about hiring more veterans and shit. And I'm not going to go through that, but okay. So it says here that Feige told Collider that the post-Infinity War Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to be very, very different. And then in the same interview, he teased some uncertainty of the MCU's future. This is interesting. It says here, we've been lucky that contract expirations haven't factored in too much. We've had people under contract for certain films. Then we've had new ideas and new directions, like Civil War, we wanted to do. And we've been lucky enough to make new contracts. Certainly, as we get to Infinity War, there is a sense of climax, if not a conclusion to, by the time we're at Untitled Avengers 4, the 22 movies that will have encompassed the first 3 phases of the MCU, and what happens after will be very different. I don't know if it's phase 4, it might be a new thing. Alright, and so it goes on to say, this is something we've expected for some time. We've heard that Infinity War would change the MCU in huge ways, and they're excited to find out what that actually means. They think that they'll be seeing a lot of old favorites exiting the spotlight, leaving the center stage open for a new set of heroes. And you know what? I absolutely agree with that. Once it's all said and done, I mean, what's left to happen? You know, Robert Downey Jr. won't be doing Tony Stark forever. He'll do it as long as I think he can, and as long as the money is good. I mean, shit, he made $40 million for Civil War. And he's going to make how much money in Avengers, or Avengers 3 and 4? Which right now we know that Avengers Infinity War is going to be Avengers 3, and Avengers 4 is currently not going to be Infinity War Part 2, as was previously speculated. I know I've said that myself multiple times, because I was under the impression that it was Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. And unless they really, really, really tie in Thanos through Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which I haven't seen it, I don't know what's going on with it, but James Gunn did say many times that that's not going to be a lead-in. They still do have Spider-Man, they still have Thor Ragnarok, and they still have Black Panther. Now, clearly Spider-Man is not going to tie in probably a great deal. There might be some references to Thor at the end. There might be a couple other things, maybe a reference to Venom at the end, who knows. But Thor Ragnarok will probably be the tie-in, because that was the tie-in with Thor the Dark World to Guardians of the Galaxy, when Lady Sif went to the Collector with, I think that one Infinity Stone, which was the Eternal, no, the Ether, that's what it was. And as a result of that, we know that that those two are connected in that particular regard. And since Thanos is going to be coming for the Infinity Stones, pretty safe to assume he's going to go after the Collector, which would then find its way to tie into Thor, and that's going to be the lead-in. And then Black Panther somehow is going to have to deal with the lead-in for Thanos and Avengers in that way. And that is almost unfair of Black Panther, to be perfectly honest with you. That is very unfair, because this is supposed to be not even an origin movie. But he's getting his own standalone. And his own standalone is going to be like a prelude to the biggest movie fucking event in a long time. I mean, even bigger than Justice League, in my opinion. You know, and we already know what's coming. They're shooting Avengers Infinity War right now. Tom Holland has been there. Chris Pratt has been there. Robert Downey Jr. has been there. We know that these characters are crossing over. And we know that many of them are probably going to die off, and they're probably going to end up not being in future installments. Like, we know that these things are going to go down. And what we also found out is that they're not shooting, and this is how we know that Avengers 3 and 4 are separate, is that they are not shooting them simultaneously, but they are shooting them back to back. And that is interesting, the fact that they're going to shoot them back to back. Because we thought that they were going to be shooting, you know, very similar to like Lord of the Rings, all kind of shooting simultaneously, and then, you know, piecing it together as they go. This is going to be the Russo brothers handling 2 films back to back. Very similar, probably to, let's say, Back to the Future 1 and Back to the Future 2 and Back to the Future 3, how those things were shot back to back. So that's probably what we're going to see out of this. Now, if Thanos is not going to be the villain of Avengers 4, then who the fuck is? But I have a feeling that, yes, it will be Thanos. Thanos is too big of a villain to bring into one movie. To have like a cameo appearance in Avengers 5 years ago, to have, you know, show up in Guardians of the Galaxy a couple times 3 years ago, and then to be teased at the end of Avengers Age of Ultron, you know, like that whole thing. So we know that Thanos exists. We've seen him, but it's going to have to be more going into it. And he's probably going to be, in both. But at the same time, things could change now that he's playing Cable, now that Josh Brolin is playing Cable. Anything could happen. And that is what is fascinating about this. That is what is interesting about this, is that anything can go down and we don't know yet. So I don't know about you, but I'm excited. Then again, when it comes to Marvel stuff, I'm generally pretty excited. Most of you guys know that about me. And I want to see what they do now. But now that we know that it's 2 separate films, I'm wondering if they're going to treat it very similar to Justice League and how they're doing Justice League and Justice League 2. So in Justice League this fall, it's going to be versus Steppenwolf, who clearly is, you know, the fucking second in command to Darkseid, if I recall correctly. And then Darkseid is going to be coming in Justice League 2, which is going to be 2019, I think. So, or 2018 maybe. I don't know if they haven't even started shooting Justice League 2 yet. So who knows when that's even coming, if it even comes. I think they're waiting to see whether or not Wonder Woman and Justice League do well this year. So again, a lot's going on with it, a lot of uncertainty. And I think Marvel is hedging its bets, to be honest with you. I think these contract situations are currently probably coming up for consideration. There's probably a number of issues involving some of the actors in the contracts and how things are going to play out. But yeah, the likelihood of them actually wrapping up some franchises in order to give the center stage to other characters is probably what's going to happen. And to be fair, it is probably for the best. As much as I love, you know, Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and Chris Evans as Captain America and Chris Hemsworth as Thor and shit, you know, I want to see some other characters. And even if these other guys are just playing background roles and they're being supportive, that would be pretty cool too. But the thing is, though, is Marvel is going to have to start paying out a lot of money for those kind of supporting roles, as we saw with Captain America Civil War. You know, $40 million for Robert Downey Jr. He was paid more than anyone else to be in that film. And that was a big part of what led to the New York and LA split between Kevin Feige in LA and Ike Perlmutter in New York, was the financing, the budgeting of Captain America Civil War. That was a big fucking thing. And a lot of people out there forget that. And that's one of the reasons why, too, just putting that out there, is that's one of the reasons why the Netflix shows and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have not crossed over yet. Because the TV side of things is handled by New York, while the movies are handled by LA. And it's just a gigantic clusterfuck of epic proportions. And hopefully they'll get it all sorted out. But in the meantime, as I keep saying, the MCU is getting ready to kind of like no longer be a shared universe outside of the movies, and that is pretty sad. But anyway, what are your guys' thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments below. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo, otherwise known as Mundane Matt. I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day, and peace out.